United States has gone through multiple currencies and central banks in its 240-year history. A central bank allows for the expansion and contraction of our currency supply, which affects the prices of goods and services in our economy. Since our latest central bank was created in 1913, one U.S. dollar can only purchase 4 cents worth of what it could in 1913. The cost for a loaf of bread has gone up 24 times from 6 cents 100 years ago to $1.50 today. Imagine how much better off Americans would be if prices were not increasing so rapidly. If for decades, citizens could have saved wealth under their mattress. Part of the reason for this price inflation is the change in what a U.S. dollar bill represents. Paper money used to be just a representation of the historical money that is gold, because gold has high intrinsic value. This was called the gold standard and was ended for the United States dollar in 1971. Then we were just left with cash, paper bills and metal coins. Today, only 8% of the world's currency exists in a physical cash form. The digital revolution has made money ever increasingly become more virtual and less physical. With the invention of the internet came some attempts to return to gold-backed currency by representing gold digitally. 2 of such attempts were called e-gold and gold money. The gold-backed digital currency, e-gold, gained some success, with $2 billion in transactions processed at its peak for the 2008 year. This and similar currencies were a challenge to America's monopoly on money, which they will fight tooth and nail to maintain. E-gold transfers were suspended, and they were prosecuted under the USA Patriot Act. Gold money's progress was also halted under government regulations, stopping money transmission from user to user. Revolutionary currencies like e-bullion and Liberty Reserve were also run out of business. The U.S. Treasury and Department of Justice stretched the definition of money transmitter in the USA Patriot Act to include services not even transferring U.S. dollars. No digital currency created yet was safe from censorship. These digital currencies had the same fault, like the infamous file-sharing software Napster.
A federal court ruled Monday Napster must stop allowing music fans to swap copyrighted material.
They relied on a central point of control, server, or organization that could be hacked, legally shut down, or simply driven out of business by unmanageable compliance costs from government regulations. In the early 2000s, PayPal filled a market need for online transfer of dollars. The company is subject to money transmitter laws under all 50 states, in addition to the federal government. Regulations of PayPal create many drawbacks, including high fees and a lack of freedom from censorship. For instance, it cannot be used in Iraq, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and countries on the U.S. economic sanction list. In addition to this, your personal transactions can be monitored legally by the government. In 2010, PayPal shut off the ability to donate to WikiLeaks after the organization released thousands of diplomatic cables. However, WikiLeaks was able to keep running through donations in a new digital currency called Bitcoin, which was first set up in 2009. Bitcoin is the first virtual currency to not have a central point of failure. Most importantly, it is resistant to government force. Its entire system is distributed and thus impossible to pinpoint and shut down. It is able to achieve this feat through cryptography, which is basically a fancy word for secure communication. The software, of course, takes place via the internet. It runs on a protocol like HTTP, HTTP being the protocol for the World Wide Web. As it was designed, a distributed network of voluntary users provides the service to maintain the Bitcoin software system. This currency allows you to send a payment to anyone in the world online without using any bank, company, country, government, or otherwise trusted third party. Sending Bitcoin basically works like an email, except that a Bitcoin's unit of value cannot be duplicated. Only a specified number of Bitcoin units will ever be in existence. By May 2010, Bitcoin was beginning to trade in the real world.
It is likely the first transaction ever made with the fledgling currency, which began in 2009. This Papa John's pizza might look like an ordinary delivery, but it seems likely to go down in history as the most expensive food of all time.
In May 2010, a member pleaded to the community for someone to provide him with 2 pizzas delivered to his residence for his payment of 10,000 Bitcoins. This simple dinner cost the equivalent in Bitcoins of what would come to be worth over $10 million by December 2013. This is how fast the increase in its number of users and recognition has been. Online exchanges have been providing the trade of bitcoins and dollars for years, though many have closed from site security issues and lack of complying with government regulations. Mass adoption, however, will more easily happen from a recent trend that is growing fast.
Now, if you haven't heard of Bitcoin yet, it is making international headlines and changing the way we exchange money. It is the first of its kind in the world, and today the Bitcoin ATM was unveiled right here in San Diego.
Bitcoin ATMs are deploying worldwide, allowing the sale of bitcoins for cash and cash into bitcoins at physical locations.
This machine changes it all by allowing users to get cash out or make deposits to their accounts.
There are already such machines in Boston, Massachusetts, Austin, Texas, Mountain View, California, Vancouver, Canada, and Tijuana, Mexico. Bitcoin will succeed where past digital currencies have failed because it is not tied to any national currency. It has no central authority, and the supply cannot be manipulated. Bitcoin is like the internet in 1994. Few people used it, and even fewer knew how it worked. But it would go on to revolutionize nearly every industry in the world. Digital currencies are set to revolutionize money. Billion-dollar companies are among the 60,000 already accepting Bitcoin, and the list is growing rapidly. Money can now be sent worldwide to wherever there's an internet connection. We are truly in the era of the first global currency.